Annie, 1982, once touched the whole world with the story of an optimistic orphan girl and its unforgettable characters. Yet after 42 years, the cast has lived through tragedies no one could have predicted. Some died alone from illness, some lost their children in heartbreaking circumstances, and others changed so much that you could hardly recognize them. Who were they, and where are they now? Let's uncover the truth behind the camera. Carol Burnett as Miss Hannigan. Carol Burnett was born on April 26, 1933 in San Antonio, Texas. When she was 49 years old, she played Miss Hannigan in Annie, 1982, the cruel, alcoholic orphanage manager who forced the orphans into hard labor. This satirical and darkly comedic role added tension to the film and allowed Burnett to prove her talent for turning villains into unforgettable screen icons, praised by both audiences and critics. But behind the spotlight, Burnett's marriages were filled with tears. Her first marriage to Joe Hamilton, the father of her 3 daughters, ended after 21 years because of conflicts and his struggles with alcoholism. That breakup left a deep void in her emotional life. Her second marriage to Brian Miller also failed to bring complete peace, as at times they stood on the edge of separation, with rumors of divorce surrounding her and leaving her spirit unsettled. It wasn't only her love life, her health was constantly tested as well. In 1969, Burnett suffered a serious car accident, injuring her chin so severely that it required plastic surgery, leaving her face marked with the imprint of pain. Then, in 2002, her beloved daughter, Carrie Hamilton, died of lung cancer at the age of 38. That loss tore her heart apart, pushing Burnett into a long period of depression, where she needed psychological therapy just to hold on to life amid infinite loneliness. Now, at 92, Carol Burnett still appears on stage and television, though she carefully chooses her appearances. She devotes her energy to special performances and to charity, supporting women and children who have lost their way. After more than half a century of dedication, Burnett has amassed a net worth of about $45 million, built from her television career, best-selling books, and real estate investments. Albert Finney as Oliver Daddy Warbucks. Albert Finney was born on May 9, 1936 in Salford, England. When he took on the role of Oliver Daddy Warbucks in Annie, 1982, he was 46 years old. He played the cold-hearted billionaire who gradually opened his heart to adopt Annie. His character became the film's warm soul, proving that wealth only has true meaning when paired with love. Though the role did not win him major awards, it became one of the most remembered performances in his diverse career. But unlike his success on screen, Finney's marriages were a series of collapses. He married 4 times, but each relationship eventually fell apart because he refused to settle down and always sought freedom. Loneliness and regret slowly consumed him, weighing down his spirit even at the height of fame. The women who had once shared his life all left, leaving behind an emptiness that could never be filled. On top of emotional pain, illness drained his strength. For many years he struggled with alcohol and cigarettes, which wore down his body. In 2011, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer and began a grueling battle against the disease. Long rounds of treatment gradually weakened him, and by February 2019, complications from a chest infection claimed his final breath. Albert Finney passed away on February 7, 2019, at the Royal Marsden Hospital in London, at the age of 82. He left behind a net worth of about $25 million, built from decades of dedication to stage and film, both as an actor and as a producer. Tim Curry as Rooster Hannigan. Tim Curry was born on April 19, 1946, in Grappan Hall, England. At the age of 36, he played Rooster Hannigan in Annie in 1982, the cunning and manipulative brother of Miss Hannigan. His role added tension and the necessary counterbalance to the plot, turning the villain into an indispensable link that sharpened the film's edge. Although the role did not win awards, it solidified Curry's place among versatile actors, continuing the success he had achieved with the Rocky Horror Picture Show and paving the way for future classics in his career. Yet behind the spotlight of stage and screen, Curry faced painful health struggles that never truly healed. In 2012, he suffered a severe stroke that left half of his body paralyzed. From being a man who once commanded the stage with his powerful voice and presence, Curry was confined to a wheelchair, and his voice was deeply affected. This devastating blow virtually ended his live-acting career, leaving a void in the heart of an artist who once burned so brightly. Alongside illness, Curry also endured loneliness, as he never found a stable marriage. He remained single, with only fleeting rumors about same-sex relationships, but no long-term partner by his side. Coupled with a long-standing smoking habit, his health deteriorated even further. In the years after his stroke, Curry battled both physical hardship and emotional solitude, which made life heavy and haunting. By 2025, Tim Curry is 79 years old, living quietly in Los Angeles. He spends his time on rehabilitation and occasionally works in voice acting for animated films and video games to keep his connection with the arts alive. His net worth is currently around $5 million, built mainly from voice work and his unforgettable film performances. Anne Reinking as Grace Farrell. Anne Reinking was born on November 10, 1949, in Seattle, Washington. When she was 32 years old, she played Grace Farrell in Annie, 1982, the devoted and kind secretary of Oliver Warbucks. Her character brought compassion and warmth, helping to balance the darker tones of the film. While the role did not earn her major awards, it reinforced Reinking's reputation as one of Broadway's top dancers and actresses, a career that later saw her win the prestigious Tony Award in 1996 for choreography. But behind her radiant stage presence, Reinking's love life was marked by repeated heartbreak. She first married Larry Small in 1970, but they quickly divorced. Her second marriage to Peter Talbert in 1982 also ended after nearly a decade. Between those broken unions was her turbulent relationship with Bob Fosse, the brilliant choreographer whose jealousy and controlling nature trapped her heart in constant emotional storms. Beyond romance, Reinking's health became another burden. From childhood, she lived with Marfan syndrome, a genetic disorder that affects the heart and skeletal system. The fear of sudden death haunted her life, and tragedy struck on December 12, 2020. While visiting family in Washington, Reinking passed away in her sleep due to heart complications, shocking the artistic community. Anne Reinking died at 71, closing a life filled with devotion, yet also marked by hardship. Her net worth was estimated at about $5 million, built from her years of shining on Broadway, in film, and through her work as a choreographer. Bernadette Peters as Lily St. Regis. Bernadette Peters was born on February 28, 1948, in Ozone Park, New York. At 34 years old, she portrayed Lily St. Regis, the glamorous yet deceitful lover of Rooster Hannigan in Annie, 1982. Her role added a satirical comedic edge, while also giving the film more depth by exposing the deceit hidden beneath glitz and charm. Although it did not win her major awards, the performance further cemented Peters' name on screen alongside her already dazzling Broadway career. Yet her heart was not spared emotional scars. Her long relationship with comedian Steve Martin, which lasted from 1977 to 1982, ended due to irreconcilable differences, sending Peters into a period of crisis. Never having found lasting marriage, she lived with the constant fear of loneliness, even as she outwardly radiated with the brilliance of stage lights. The deepest wound came in 2005, when her partner Michael Wittenberg was killed in a helicopter crash. That sudden loss plunged Peters into years of depression, where she struggled to summon the strength to face the stage once again. The emotional scars left by this tragedy carved themselves deeply into the soul of an artist already fragile beneath her glamorous exterior. Today, in 2025, Bernadette Peters is 77 years old. She still performs selectively and devotes much of her energy to charity, especially animal protection. With a net worth of about $40 million, accumulated from Broadway, music, and even children's books, she lives quietly in New York, continuing to shine as an enduring icon of the American stage. Edward Herrmann as Franklin D. Roosevelt. Edward Herrmann was born on July 21, 1943, in Washington, D.C. In Annie, 1982, he was 39 years old when he played President Franklin D. Roosevelt, bringing optimism and hope for the future into the story. Though his role appeared only in several key scenes, it added historical weight to the film and showcased Herrmann's versatility, later reflected in his beloved work in The Lost Boys and Gilmore Girls. But behind artistic success, his private life was marked by fractures. His first marriage to Lee Curran, lasting from 1978 to 1991, ended in divorce, leaving wounds that never fully healed. Fortunately, Herrmann found stability with his second wife, Star Herrmann, whom he married in 1993. She remained by his side until the end, giving him 2 children and becoming his greatest source of comfort during his final years. From 2014, Herrmann faced a devastating battle with terminal brain cancer. The aggressive disease rapidly destroyed his body, leaving him weak only months after diagnosis. Even during his hospital stays, he tried to remain optimistic, but the outcome was inevitable. Edward Herrmann passed away on December 31, 2014, in a New York hospital at the age of 71. He left behind a net worth of about $10 million, earned from television, film, and especially his voice work, where his deep, resonant tone became instantly recognizable. His death brought immeasurable grief to his family and deep sorrow among audiences who cherished his work. Geoffrey Holder as Punjab. Geoffrey Holder was born on August 1, 1930, in Port of Spain, Trinidad. When he was 52 years old, he took on the role of Punjab, the mysterious, towering bodyguard who stood with an imposing presence at Oliver Warbucks' side in Annie, 1982. The character not only added a mystical flavor to the film, but also showcased Holder's versatility, already recognized with 2 Tony Awards for The Wiz and his memorable appearances in 7-Up commercials. Yet his marriage also endured turbulence. Holder married Carmen de Lavallade in 1955 and remained with her until the end of his life, but at times they separated due to creative conflicts and differing artistic visions. Though they ultimately overcame these struggles and continued their journey together, the distance they experienced left lasting emotional scars for both. On top of personal challenges, his long-term smoking habit destroyed his health. It weakened his respiratory system and led to severe pneumonia complications. The physical decline forced Holder away from the stage lights, leaving him in pain as he witnessed the once vibrant body he relied on for his art deteriorate. Geoffrey Holder passed away on October 5, 2014, in New York, at the age of 84. He left behind a net worth of about $5 million, earned from acting, dancing, visual art, and advertising. The cultural heritage of Trinidad that he carried with him continues to live on in the hearts of audiences, affirming his place as a brilliant, multifaceted artist who could never be replaced. Aileen Quinn as Annie. Aileen Quinn was born on June 28, 1971, in Yardley, Pennsylvania. When she was just 11 years old, she played Annie, the optimistic, courageous orphan whose clear, bright singing voice lit up Annie, 1982. The character of Annie became a pop culture icon, propelling Quinn to international child stardom, while at the same time binding her image to the role for years afterward. But early fame did not bring lasting happiness. Following her spectacular success, Quinn received the Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress, a humiliating blow that left the young teenager carrying deep feelings of inadequacy. The harshness of fame and the pressure to escape Annie's shadow caused her to falter, forcing her to pause her acting career multiple times in search of herself. Growing up under the constant scrutiny of the public only added to her stress. When major opportunities stopped coming, she had no choice but to take a different path, committing herself to small theater stages and teaching, letting go of the Hollywood dream that once burned so brightly. The pain of a child star losing her way became a sobering lesson about the dark side of fame. By 2025, Aileen Quinn is 54 years old and works as a teacher in New Jersey while leading the band Leapin' Lizards, inspired by the very film that catapulted her to stardom. Her net worth is only about $500,000, drawn mostly from stage performances, teaching, and independent music. Though her life is simple, she continues to move forward with resilience, carrying in her heart the pride of having once brought Annie to life. Lois de Banzie as Eleanor Roosevelt. Lois de Banzie was born on May 4, 1930, in Glasgow, Scotland. In 1982, at age 52, she portrayed Eleanor Roosevelt in Annie, bringing to life the image of a kind, calm, and compassionate First Lady. While her role was not central to the film, it added a deeper layer of meaning, enriching the story with warmth and historical context. It also highlighted de Banzie's extensive stage and screen career, which audiences later remembered through films like Sister Act. But behind the stage lights, her private life carried sadness. She experienced a long marriage to George de Banzie, which eventually ended in divorce, leaving her to face the weight of loneliness as old age approached. That breakup forced her to endure her later years without a life partner, a void that could never truly be filled. As the years passed, health problems also began to mount. Her weakening body slowed her down, limiting her artistic activities until she ultimately passed away of natural causes on April 3, 2021, quietly closing a long journey. Lois de Banzie died at the age of 90, leaving behind a modest net worth of about $1 million earned from supporting roles in theater, television, and film. She took her final breath in England, leaving a small yet heartfelt legacy in the memories of audiences who cherished the simplicity and refinement she brought to each of her performances. Ray Bolger as sound effects man. Ray Bolger was born on January 10, 1904, in Dorchester, Massachusetts. At 78 years old, he appeared in Annie, 1982, as the sound effects man, a small but memorable role. Though brief, his presence carried special significance, as Bolger had long been a stage and screen legend thanks to his role as the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, 1939, a performance that made him an enduring American cultural icon. Yet his personal life bore the weight of painful loss. After the death of his beloved wife, Gwendolyn, in 1970, Bolger fell into a prolonged depression. Without the partner who had shared decades of his life, he was left lonely, even as he continued to appear before the public. His health also declined steadily with age. He developed bladder cancer, a disease that ravaged his body and drained his strength. Though he tried to remain strong in spirit, the worsening illness eventually forced him to leave the stage, the very place that had been his life's purpose. Ray Bolger passed away on January 15, 1987, in Los Angeles, just 5 days after his 83rd birthday. He left behind a net worth of about $1 million, built from his decades-long artistic career. Even in death, the memory of him lives on in the hearts of fans across the world. Toni Anne Gisondi as Molly. Toni Anne Gisondi was born on January 1, 1975, in New Jersey. When she was just 7 years old, she played Molly, the youngest orphan, innocent and sweet, bringing a sense of purity that softened the harsher atmosphere of Annie, 1982. This role made Gisondi one of the most beloved child faces among audiences, but at the same time, it tied her to the heavy pressure of fame at such a young age. After the Hollywood lights faded, Gisondi quickly stepped away from acting, unable to bear the weight of childhood stardom. Expectations and constant comparisons made her feel suffocated, forcing her to withdraw from the screen to protect her peace of mind. As she grew older, she struggled with balancing family and career, especially within marriage and raising children, leaving her life at times drained with fatigue. Even so, Gisondi kept small joys alive through music. She performed at local events and sang at weddings, maintaining a connection to the talent that once placed her in the spotlight as a child. Though she never regained fame, it was her way of keeping the artistic flame inside her heart alive. By 2025, Toni Anne Gisondi is 50 years old, living peacefully in New Jersey. She occasionally reunites with former castmates at anniversary events as a way of staying connected to her past. Her net worth is estimated at around $100,000, earned mostly through freelance work and small performances. Her simple yet poignant life stands as a reminder of the darker side of early fame. Rosanne Sorrentino as Pepper. Rosanne Sorrentino was born on January 15, 1968 in Long Island, New York. At the age of 14, she played Pepper, the tough, mischievous orphan who often stirred up trouble in Annie, 1982. Her role made Pepper a standout among the children, offering another perspective on teenage rebellion in the context of orphanhood. Though it did not give Sorrentino a long-lasting career, Pepper remained unforgettable to audiences for her boldness and unique edge. However, life after the film brought major upheavals. Sorrentino left school early and was forced to abandon acting due to the stress and harsh competition in the industry. Family issues also prevented her from continuing her career, leaving her with years of lingering regret. In the midst of that sadness, she turned to comedy as a way to cope. Sorrentino admitted to having a habit of dark humor, sometimes used as a weapon to mask her pain. At the same time, being the mother of 2 daughters became her greatest source of encouragement, helping her find peace after years of chaos. By 2025, Rosanne Sorrentino is 57 years old and living in New York. She works in comedy and hosts a web show, keeping her connection with audiences through the same humor that once helped her withstand life's challenges. Her net worth is estimated at about $200,000, mostly from online projects and small performances, reflecting a life that is modest yet resilient. April Lerman as Kate. April Lerman was born on February 6, 1969 in Chicago, Illinois. When she was just 13 years old, she played Kate in Annie, 1982, the gentle, caring orphan who often looked after the younger children in the orphanage. Her role brought a tender balance to the group of child characters, adding emotional depth to the film. While it did not win Lerman major awards, the character of Kate remained etched in audiences' memories as a symbol of kindness amid hardship. In real life, however, Lerman's search for personal happiness was marked by struggles. As an adult, she went through a failed marriage that left her with pain and difficulty in maintaining relationships. Her perfectionism, something she herself once admitted, made balancing career and personal life a heavy burden, often pushing her into loneliness. Even so, Lerman chose to focus on her family and children, seeing them as her anchor through loss. Leaving behind the spotlight, she turned to education, using art as a tool to inspire her students. This became her way of finding comfort, transforming her private tragedies into a source of energy for others. By 2025, April Lerman is 56 years old, living a quiet life and devoting most of her time to teaching. Her net worth is around $100,000, drawn mainly from her teaching work and small art-related projects. Though far from the screen, Lerman is still remembered as a beloved part of Annie, and today she quietly shares her light with a new generation. Lucy Stewart as July. Lucy Stewart was born on December 14, 1971, in New York. At age 11, she played July, the cheerful, optimistic orphan who brought positive energy to Annie, 1982. While July was not a major role, Stewart's presence added innocence and helped highlight the film's central message of hope. Her real-life journey, however, was filled with painful turns. Growing up in Annie's shadow, she struggled to escape the image of her childhood role, leading to crisis and decline. Multiple failed marriages left her with deep emotional scars. The instability pushed Stewart toward substance abuse as a way to escape reality, and she later admitted that addiction haunted her for many years. Drug use fractured her family and caused lasting psychological damage, forcing her to confront her own darkness. Yet, after much effort, Stewart managed to recover, regain balance, and begin a path of healing. These painful experiences eventually turned her into an advocate for mental health, warning young people about the dangers she herself had faced. By 2025, Lucy Stewart is 54 years old, living more peacefully and dedicating her energy to working with teenagers. Though her net worth is only about $50,000, largely from social work and community projects, she has transformed her stormy life into one of sharing, turning her pain into healing power for others. Robin Ignico as Duffy. Robin Ignico was born on August 20th, 1970 in Glendale, California. In Annie, 1982, at age 12, she played Duffy, one of the older orphans, tough, strong-willed, and a bit rebellious. Her character added sharpness to the group of children, highlighting the contrasts between different personalities in the orphanage. While the role did not bring her major awards, it introduced Ignico to audiences and left her name in the memories of fans of the film. However, life after the bright lights of film was far from smooth. Growing up in the shadow of fame, she soon faced body image issues and constantly felt the pressure of being compared to her child star image. These insecurities seeped into her personal life, causing difficulties in her marriage, which ultimately ended in separation and custody disputes, leaving her with deep emotional scars. Amid this turbulence, Ignico often admitted that her worst habit was putting too much pressure on herself. Unrealized expectations and an obsession with her past fame left her feeling exhausted at times. But instead of drowning forever in disappointment, she chose a new path, walking away from Hollywood and finding peace in education, turning teaching into both comfort and motivation to keep going. By 2025, Robin Ignico is 55 years old, living quietly and prioritizing family over fame. She has distanced herself from Hollywood, devoting her time to her children and her teaching career. Her net worth is about $100,000, earned mainly from her new path in education. Though no longer seen on screen, Ignico is still remembered as part of Annie and as a woman who transformed the bitter weight of fame into a personal journey of peace. From dazzling fame to heartbreaking losses, the journey of the Annie cast is nothing short of shocking. Which of their fates surprised you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss our next videos.